Why am I holding this? My weapon of choice as a villain. I was just cooking, guys, that's all. But hey yo, welcome to my channel. Today is gonna be like this, but it's somehow relevant because we're talking about writing compelling antagonist. I myself have struggled with this a lot when I was writing my first screenplays, because you come up with an idea, then you develop the story, then you focus on your main character and plot points, and you don't really spend much time on the antagonist. When that happens, you don't go deep into that character and you don't answer the most important question. Why does my villain want to stop my main character from achieving their goal? And if you don't answer that question, then your villain ends up being this plain, boring bad guy that your audience doesn't care about. Therefore, your story don't excite them as much as it could have. After you watch this video, I'm sure you're going to write an amazing antagonist that is gonna be compelling, realistic, and exciting. First, you might be asking, what is an antagonist? An antagonist, or a villain, is basically the character who stands between your main character and their goal. The antagonist creates conflict for your main character, and they put obstacles for the main character's journey. Writing a strong villain makes it more interesting for the audience and more challenging for the main character. So building your antagonist better makes the story better. Some great villains I love are the Joker, Voldemort, Darth Vader. These are the classics. And my favorite antagonist is probably Jason Dean from Heathers. Who else? Oh, I love Karli Morgenthau, especially the way she is in The Falcon and Winter Soldier. You haven't seen it? Go watch it after this video. Now, how to write a compelling antagonist. I'm going to share my checklist. I'm going to share my own checklist that I made over the years. 1. Backstory. If they used to be a good person, but then they've been through a lot, bad things have happened, and now they want justice, that's usually the best way to go with villains. For example, the Joker. He had a mom who was mentally ill. He has a nihilistic approach to society, and it's very believable because of the things he's been through, the injustice and the inequality he experienced throughout his life. Then Karli Morgenthau from The Falcon and Winter Soldier. Karli wants to fight the inequality she experienced all her life. She was orphaned and Mama Donya took her in. They didn't have much supplies, nobody really helped them, and finally Mama Donya got sick and died. She created flag smashers to fight this injustice and inequality that she experienced. There is a common theme going on here, but it's not usually always like that. So giving your antagonist a compelling backstory to explain why they're doing what they're doing will make them more human rather than just this bad guy that we're supposed to hate. 2. Ambition. Did anyone else realize that sometimes, most of the time, villains act more ambitious than the main character? It's because they are. They really are. They've been through a lot, and they now dedicated themselves to changing the world for the better while doing these bad things. Your antagonist has to have a plan, and they have to execute this master plan like a pro. Okay, I read this article about writing an antagonist, and it said something like, don't think about your antagonist like he or she is the final boss in a video game. It's so true. So they shouldn't just sit around and wait for the protagonist to come and get them. They should be actively and ambitiously seeking their own goal, which naturally should affect the main character's goal. Underline naturally. 3. Real threat. Obvious, but I feel like I have to mention this. Your antagonist should feel like a real threat, a serious threat, so that your audience can take them seriously. Even if it's a rom-com movie and your antagonist is this ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, or the parents, they shouldn't feel like they're just there to be there. You know, they have to feel like, ooh, they're really scary. They might actually mess things up for the main character. Oh my god. it'll be more satisfying for the audience and it'll make the story much better. 4. The right match. One thing that I struggled a lot while creating my antagonist is finding the right match for my main character and for their goal. In an article on Screencraft, I think, they call this create the right antagonist for your protagonist. So think about who your protagonist is, what's their personality, and what is their flaw. Then what is their journey throughout the film or TV show or web series or short film, whatever you're writing. What is their journey and what is their goal? And how are they gonna change throughout this journey? What is the character arc? According to these things, you create an antagonist that is the perfect match. The antagonist, their backstory and their journey throughout the film has to naturally confront the main character, push them to change and block them from reaching their goal. This has to be all in harmony with one another. Meaning, I'm actually gonna give an example, Karli Morgenthau and the Falcon. Why is Karli the perfect antagonist for the Falcon? Because they're both going through a similar experience. Falcon struggles with losing Captain America and he's experiencing more of how America treats African Americans and he's thinking about becoming Captain America himself, but this other guy tells him he can't. They won't accept them as Captain America. So he's experiencing this injustice and inequality himself. He's going through this journey of learning and realizing so much about the real world. At the same time, Karli is fighting the same injustice and inequality that she experienced. Falcon even understands why she's doing what she's doing. He relates to her a lot. That story is amazing. I just love it so much. 5. Hero of their own story. Again, Karli Morgenthau. She's the hero of her own story. She's the hero of her own group, of her own people. She's helping her people. She's the hero who's going against the injustice and inequality that her people experienced. So make the antagonist a hero of their own story. They shouldn't exist just to be a villain of your story. They should exist because they are the main character of their own journey. So they go through a story of their own and an arc of their own that happen to cross ways with your protagonist's story. So you can't just leave them to be just the bad guy. I'm telling you, the classic villain stories, they don't work anymore. And that's why you watch the Joker glued to the screen, because he's the hero of his own story and we feel for him. These are my 5 main tips for writing the perfect antagonist for your story. Thank you so much for watching, you guys, and if you haven't seen it, go watch The Falcon and Winter Soldier, then come back to this video if you want and take a look at my notes about Karli. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, like this video and leave a comment below. I want to know who your favorite antagonist is. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you next week.